Well, let me ask you this because you mentioned people, I mean, the record speaks for itself, right? 17 and 0, 16 knockouts. So they think he's a knockout guy, he's, maybe not as well-rounded as a boxer. The same is being said a little bit with the Devin Haney Brian Norman fight this weekend. And Tito, I've been calling this fight, everyone I've talked to, I've been calling this fight maybe the super fight nobody saw coming, right? Because
Yeah,
it was kind of out of left field.
yeah.
And I talked to Devin about it, and to his credit, he's the best in the division. I want another belt. He's kind of one of those legacy guys, right? He's not just chasing a bag. Of course, that's important, but it seems like he really cares about legacy. I think you're one of those guys, Crawford, Canelo. There's certain guys have that mindset. Um, a lot of people have said that Brian, he's a one-trick pony. He's got the left hook. Um, Tim Bradley Jr. says he's got two hands. Don't be surprised if that right hand. How do you see that fight playing out? And there's levels in boxing, we know that. And Devin has the resume. What do you think?
It's a tricky fight, man. It depends. I think I'm leaning towards Brian Norman. He's a fighter that's a fresher fighter. Obviously, I'm not saying Devin is not, but with that Ryan Garcia fight, I don't know how much it really took out of him. I can't really assess his last performance against I believe it was Ramirez, right, that he fought.
Ramirez, yeah.
I can't really say too much because I mean, let's be honest, he was running around the ring the whole time, so it's kind of hard to give a fair assessment of how much. It seems like he's a little traumatized still from getting hit. But I don't know, man. Brian Norman seems like he definitely has power. I haven't seen too much of him to put my money on it, but when I see it of him, he definitely has power. I seen that he knows how to box, so I think honestly those two things are going to be, at least from my thing, a bad recipe for Haney. I think that he's a guy that obviously we've seen that he can't take a punch very too well, and I think that Brian Norman should be able to catch him. Not in the early rounds. And like I said, it all depends too on how Haney comes in. If he comes in moving around crazy and Norman can't catch him around the ring, then I could see how Haney could possibly maybe pull off a decision. But other than that, man, if I think he even tries to engage a little bit, I think Norman puts him out.
Interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of mixed opinions on this fight. Um, some people think Devin's going to just outbox him, and again the resume, but then again the power of Norman.
And he can fight, man. It's not just power. I've seen a little bit of him. He looks like he can box, so it's kind of hard to say. I guess whoever comes out better on that night, right, is really ultimately is gonna whoever has the better strategy that night. But I think Norman definitely has the capabilities of putting Haney out for sure.
And there's been a lot of talk. It's not official yet, but Oscar De La Hoya confirmed this at the Virgil Ortiz fight that Ryan Garcia and Mario Barrios will probably be the next fight. It needed to be negotiated. Ryan's still out of that core, like the Shakur Devins and so forth, without a title. Um, Barrios seems to, be the guy always chosen, but he's been in there with the best of the best, Thurman and Tank and Pacquiao for that matter. What are your thoughts on that fight?
Well, I'm just surprised how they keep giving Ryan title shots after title shots after just losing and losing. Obviously Barrios, no disrespect to Barrios, the world champion, but he's a guy that just like you said has been lucky, man, to be able to get these fights, with Tank, Thurman, Pacquiao, now maybe Garcia, which are money fights. And to be honest, I think he's the least skilled 147-pounder champion out of all of them. So for him to be able to do that though, I definitely give my respect to him for obviously taking the fights. And obviously, man, any fighter wants to be in that financial position, right, to be able to be called and to make some money and obviously to fight. And I don't know, man, if that fight does happen, I don't have too much faith in Ryan Garcia no more, to be honest with you. I
Hmm.
think that maybe Mario Barros might be able to beat him, to be honest with you. I mean, I know it's kind of a stretch. I mean, I would think, if you asked me probably a year ago, I would say Ryan Garcia would be able to, just knock him out quick. But his last performances, man, they haven't been looking good. Rollies look horrible, and then obviously there's always excuses after that, that he wasn't there, this, that. So I don't know. I think Barrios might be able to pull this fight off, to be honest with you.
Interesting. And then there's one that's kind of flying under the radar a little bit, coming up next month in San Antonio, Pitbull and Roach. Obviously Roach wanted the rematch with Tank that fell through, but him and Pitbull looks like a good little scrap.
No, it looks like a good fight, and I think they're doing that at 140 too. So I mean, that's a fight that I'll be interested in too. Maybe for the next one, if whoever the winner comes out. But I don't know. I feel like Pitbull's a I feel like Ramon Roach is a good fighter. So is Pitbull, but I think Pitbull might be a style that doesn't really match Roach too well. I think Roach does better with guys that box. I think this one's not gonna be. I don't. I think Pitbull might be able to win this one. I think that style just doesn't. I don't think it links up too good with him. I think Pitbull will probably be able to beat him just because he's just so uncomfortable to fight. Just because he's that style just doesn't match with Roach.
And I'll get you out of here. I'm with the undefeated super lightweight contender Tito Mercado. Big fight December 13th on the rise. And Hannah reminded me or informed me actually before this. You just got listed on ESPN's top 25 under 25. Um, Now you win a title, those lists kind of become obsolete a little bit, right? Because those are kind of like prospect type list in a way.
Right.
But from the first time I talked to you a few years ago, it seems like your profile keeps rising and rising. And how, do you can you feel it, with the fans and just within the boxing world that man, this like your name is really starting to get out there and be mentioned with some of these other guys.
Oh yeah, for sure. Now when I go to events, I've been doing a lot of commentating too. But now when I go to events, I'm walking around, everybody's asking me for pictures and autographs and stuff now. So it's definitely the whole perspective of Tito Mercado from when I barely started to now has definitely changed. Especially in San Antonio, man. When I went to, I think I want to go commentate some fights over there, man. And San Antonio, they showed me a lot of love. No, I'm sorry, Dallas. They showed me a lot of love over there, and it's been great, and obviously it comes with its territory, I guess, right? I gotta keep performing and doing my things for me to be able to have that level of recognition from the fans to be able to get noticed like that. So it's definitely been fun, man. And it's when you think about it, it's been a long journey from when I barely started, my first pro fight out there in Georgia to now to being recognized by fans, autographs, pictures. It's been surreal so far.
Yeah, you mentioned the commentary, and I think you were in Dallas, and I didn't realize you were here, but it that must help too, right? Just being, how is that? Do you like that as like a future? Is that like a future career type of thing, or you're kind of doing it now?
Yeah, possibility, man. I do it more for, I just love boxing. I love, honestly being on there too is it's different, from me being in the ring. I never actually had the point of view from being, a coach or a commentator. So I definitely like, calling fights. I just love boxing. So to be able to call fights right there and do what I do and it's been fun. I'm not gonna lie. I've been enjoying it, doing my homework before the fights and stuff like that. It's been pretty cool. So definitely, I wouldn't count it out. Definitely in the future, maybe I might be a future commentator down the line. Who knows?
Yeah, and like you said, it gives you a different perspective on the fights, than you're there ringside, right? It's different than watching it on TV or watching film. You're actually seeing it
Yeah,
live.
and then also get the perspective of the judges, right? I can't. I'm in the ring, so now I get kind of see what the judges might be looking at. So it's crazy kind of to see something from a different point of view, and I definitely learned a lot from it. And like I said, I'm having fun, so I think that's the main thing.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. That's cool. Let me ask you, and again, we'll get out here in a minute. Um, a fight that just got announced. Obviously, the Jake fight fell through, but Jake is now fighting Anthony Joshua, two-time heavyweight champion of the world. It's not like he's been retired for 10, 20 years. He's still probably a top 10 heavyweight in the world. He has potential fights with Tyson Fury. I mean, the guy's still active, right?
Right.
When you heard the news, what was your thought and what do you think?
At first, I thought it was a prank. I ain't gonna lie to you. I was like, "This got to be a prank, no way." But I mean, if it really does, come through, a lot of times, they announce stuff and it ends up falling through or stuff like that. But if it does, I mean, I definitely give my respects to Jake. I'm not sure what's on there, contractually. I gotta assume there's some type of I know they did like 8 rounds, and I'm not sure if it's but like what people say, they allegedly, say they're scripted. But it'll be interesting to see, man. Like I said, it'll be a good fight. I think a lot of the casual, well, not casual fans, but the actual hardcore boxing fans are hoping Joshua, just knocks Jake out. But I think that's good for boxing, man. I think it's gonna definitely bring a lot of eyeballs, though, for sure. So whatever they're doing, I think it should be interesting. I'm more excited about this than the Tank one for sure.
Yeah, so you the way it sounds, you think Jake has a puncher's chance?
I don't think so, but like I said, you just never know. Never know. Sometimes you'd be surprised. I really don't think so. I think Joshua should be able to knock him out. I'm just not sure. Like I said, man, a lot of these things sometimes are a lot of these things are just scripted. I'm not sure if Joshua was gonna go in there knock trying to knock him out or not. It's gonna be, at least for me, when Jake Paul fought Mike Tyson, I feel like Mike Tyson was just so old. I feel like at times if Jake really wanted to, he probably could have put Mike Tyson out, not because he was better than him, just because he was a lot older. And I felt like a level of respect or whatever there was, Jake didn't do that. So I'm not sure what to really expect from these type of fights. But definitely, him, promoting that now he's fighting Anthony Joshua. I think that's definitely. I think a lot of people are going to tune in more now for this one for sure.
Yeah, and listen, everyone's been clamoring and saying, telling Jake, fight a real fighter, fight a real fighter. I don't think anybody, even
Expected
when he
that.
mentioned his name before, I think people thought, yeah, right, pie in the sky. And he's fighting not only a real fighter, but a heavyweight champion of the world.
If he wins, man, rank him, and all the things. Top, make him become mandatory. I don't even, I can't. There's nothing I can say about it. There's nothing. At first, I think the WBC ranked him, and I was like, how the hell they rank him? Guys like myself or guys that work so hard, we barely started getting ranked, and a guy like this just comes in and gets ranked. But if he wins a fight like this or he does something crazy, man, rank this guy because I mean, you got to give respect to it too.